Hello, everyone, and welcome to 3 Words, a bite-sized podcast about the simple and yet strategic choices that you can make to become the best version of you. I'm here today with Russell Catania, a dear friend of mine and one of my DMB coaches, to talk about a 3-word phrase that for you, Russell, is one of your most favorite you've shared with me. So I will give the honors to you to share with our podcast listeners, our YouTube viewers, what are our 3 words for today's podcast?
Thanks, DMB. Our 3 words today are express your appreciation. And you're absolutely right. I love these 3 words. I love expressing my appreciation to others. And I think in order to accurately portray that to you, I want to share with you just a quick story of how appreciation was shown to me, and that totally changed my perspective on this topic. So in undergrad, I'm mentoring a group of students through a science fair, and they're 8th graders. And a lot of guys in the STEM field. We're still trying to get the girls in there. We're doing a great job. A lot of dudes in this science fair. And 8th grade boys are hooligans, right? And so just trying to get them to focus. It can be very frustrating, and trying to, just get them to work through these topics and these projects was super taxing just as a volunteer. And an 8-month project goes by, and we go to the judge day and everyone's getting their projects judged. And I'm standing there and I'm watching everyone pack up, and I've never met a single parent. And a mother comes up to me. She's a very petite gal, reminds me of my mom a lot. And she just says, I want to let you know, my son came home every Tuesday that he worked with you, and he said, I want to be just like Russell when I grow up. And I want to thank you for giving him a male role model. He doesn't have one. Wow. And I'm so thankful for the opportunity that you gave him to work with you. And
how did it make you feel?
I'm a pretty emotional person. I wept. I mean, right in front of her, and we hugged. I mean, I'm pretty emotional right now just thinking about it. I mean, it was just a moment that showed me effort is seen and appreciation is valued. And I looked back and kind of my own actions, and I said, I don't do that. I don't feel convicted to share with others how appreciative I am of what they do for me, indirectly or directly.
Well, and this mother, as you described it, she modeled the 2 essential ingredients of expressing your appreciation, which is awareness and action. I mean, for true appreciation to take place, there needs to be an awareness that something is happening around you for which we're appreciative of, which she obviously shared in detailed words and beautiful description. But then also she took an action. She actually not only was aware of how she felt appreciative of you as her son's teacher, but also she took the step toward you, literally physically came toward you and said, I appreciate you for this reason. I just learned actually there's a National Compliment Day, which I thought was interesting to realize, it seems like there's a national day for everything, right? But the fact that there's a National Compliment Day, what it reminded me of is that there's something within our psyche as a culture that values compliments. And yet part of me was like, oh, that's really cool. But then the other part of me was like, that's kind of sad, because every day should be a compliment day. Every day should be a day when we're expressing appreciation, we're expressing care, value, encouragement, affirmation. And I've shared this before, and I'll share it again, that I have never, ever met a human being who, when I ask them what is their biggest struggle in life, they share with me, I am just affirmed and appreciated far too often. And I wish people would just slow it down and stop pouring that out on me, because it's just getting to be too much. I mean, it doesn't happen, because there's something within us that deeply longs to be appreciated, not only for what we do, but for who we are.
Absolutely. And it absolutely impacted me. That one moment began to help me realize that I have some great qualities that I'm not harboring as much. I love mentoring people my age, people younger than me. And so I began to imagine an environment where, as I showed my appreciation to others, expressed my appreciation, they became more aware of the best version of themselves, those qualities that really just allowed them to look back and say, I'm really talented in this way. And not even in a boastful way, but this is my strength. And because of Russell's outreach to me and his genuine, affection about that situation, I realize that now.
And we might be curious and even consider the possibility that we may have this talent or this strength or this area of contribution. But that curiosity becomes certainty when someone outside of us speaks into our lives and said, yes, I see it. Because when we look at ourselves in the mirror, when we reflect on our lives outside of others' contributions and input, we always are a little bit out of touch with our reality, and we see dimly, as in a mirror that might be foggy. But the fog from a mirror dissipates when there's those who step in and say, no, I see this. I affirm and confirm that this is true of you, and I appreciate you. And that's why I love that word appreciation, because we're talking about compliments, we're talking about expression, but just this idea of genuine, heartfelt, authentic appreciation. I think we just long to be appreciated.
Absolutely. And I have to say, just the language you were using even leading up to this next point that I want to make is very truth-telling. And we were even talking about this off camera. I mean, when you're using your language, you have to step into that role as someone who expresses appreciation. I think what you mean by that, and what's absolutely true, is it requires a lot of initiative and it requires action. Like that mother in my story and like so many others, you have to make the choice to show that. Your appreciation is not implied because you smiled and said thank you even. I mean,
that's true.
It's challenging to,
and that's a generic way, just to smile and say thank you. It's thoughtful, but it's not transformative. It's thoughtful, but it doesn't truly touch those deepest places of our heart. And when we affirm and appreciate and care and encourage someone at that level with such detailed explanation and descriptors, it costs us nothing. But the results are so exponential in people's lives that they might remember, quite honestly, that comment that took 10 seconds or even 1 minute, if it's very descriptive. They might remember that and actually allude to that and refer to that for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely. I think it's an amazing challenge to just reflect on the events that happened to you today and just spare no expense.
That's right.
Because it is free. It is no charge to you. Spare no expense in just going and telling that person what they did that you appreciate so much, and highlight their strengths, highlight those attributes that really impacted you indirectly or directly, and just share with them. And I know that you'll be so surprised, at the results in that person's heart. And they may never share with you really the true impact. I know that I never really truly got to share the 5-year impact of that story that I have.
And you're sharing it now. And it's even to this day made a profound impact on your life. And so you've acknowledged this is not easy work. It's actually challenging work to be expressing appreciation regularly and directly and specifically and descriptively. But as well, let's just be honest. There are times in our lives when we're feeling greedy. We're feeling greedy with our affirmation and with our appreciation. And I think in many ways, as I've thought about this, there's 2 root causes for why we might actually withhold or resist the opportunities to step into and be appreciative. The first of which is insecurity, and the second of which is entitlement. So first of which, insecurity. If I'm feeling very insecure, if I'm not believing true things about me, if my self-image is sagging, it feels strange. And even a little bit takes from me to offer some of that to you. And so I might just not express appreciation because I am so craving that. And I'm so uncertain of my own identity and my own feeling of worth and value that to offer that makes me even feel more insecure. Now, there's obviously other podcasts that we have already recorded and posted that people can kind of wrestle through what it means to believe who they are and believe true things about themselves and so forth. That's another conversation. But it's just good to know that if you're feeling greedy with appreciative expressions, the first reason might be insecurity. The second reason is entitlement. The fact that you did this really kind and fantastic thing for me. Well, of course you did, because I deserve you to do those kind and fantastic things for me. And so in many ways, that feeling of entitlement that I deserve to be served, that I deserve to be treated in a certain way, that when we have this, and I think you'll see this even in a restaurant, you can see the difference between the couple on the one booth that is so appreciative of the extra effort that the server's trying to offer, and maybe a couple on another booth or a family at another booth that's feeling frustrated because of a deep sense of entitlement, well, that's why you're here. And that's why I'm tipping you, so that you can actually make my life easy and make this experience more enjoyable. So I think it's important to actually look in the mirror and to spend some time reflecting. Am I truly an appreciative person? And am I willing to take the step out, as you've described, to express appreciation? Or am I feeling insecurity or entitlement that's actually preventing me from doing that? And I think in many ways, to become an expressive appreciator, to actually follow what I call the 24-hour rule, which is every time you have a positive thought about someone, that you be willing to share that with them verbally or face-to-face within 24 hours. Can you imagine if we shared with every human being, if every human being shared with every human being, every time they were appreciative,
absolutely,
every time they were encouraged, it would literally raise I think the positive consciousness of our culture in general, because we tend to be, our default is negative,
right,
to be lacking appreciation. And so, man, what a great conversation. And any final thoughts from you as you think about it? I mean, this is such an important topic for you, Russell. And even as we were talking about the different 3 words, you're like, yeah, I want to talk about this one. Any thoughts as we kind of wrap up our session today?
I just think, to conclude, what a wonderful conversation, of course. Just step away from the reciprocity of expressing your appreciation and really just make it about that other person. Just make an investment into another soul. And
regardless of what they say back.
Yeah. And you will see the fruit of that labor in your own heart. It is pouring joy into your heart and the soul of another. So I think it's a wonderful conversation. Glad to have shared it with you as always, my friend.
So to our listeners and to our viewers today, a reminder to all of them, and of course, starting first and foremost with us, be certain every single day, with every person you meet even, to express your appreciation. For life coaching, consulting services, or to hire a keynote speaker, please visit dmbcoaching.com.